Today's video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Hey friends, Elizabeth here from Plant-Based Bride, back again with another video. And today I'm super excited to share a flip through of my reading journal, the first 6 months in my 2022 reading journal. I have made quite a bit of progress here. As you can see, you can definitely see where I have made my way to in my book so far. And my book's already starting to get a little chonky, which we love. I've been having fun this year so far with my reading journal, and I'm really excited to share all these spreads with you. Without the elastic, the pages definitely like to expand a little bit more. I am a bit concerned about having enough pages to finish the rest of the year because I'm more than halfway through. I've definitely been using more pages than I did last year, so we'll see if I can manage it. I use the square notebooks from Archer and Olive for my reading journal, and I love a square notebook. You can always use my affiliate code PBB10 for 10% off if you're shopping from Archer and Olive. And depending on exactly when this video goes up, they either are about to or just have launched their fall collection for 2022, and it's absolutely stunning. So definitely check it out if you're looking for square notebooks or really any notebook for bullet journaling or any other kind of journaling. So getting started here, this is the inner cover, the exact same as it was when I first made it. You can of course check out my new reading journal setup video if you're interested in seeing how I made these spreads. My index is looking pretty empty still because I have a couple spreads that I left empty at the beginning of the journal in case there were more spreads I decided I wanted to make. I'm a bit of a perfectionist sometimes, and I really didn't want to have too few or too many spaces left for those spreads, which may or may not ever exist. Here we have my reading tracker. My goal for 2022 is 115 books, and right now I'm at 78. So I think I'm around 7 or 8 books ahead of schedule, so not doing too badly. Then I have my 22 books in 2022 spread. These are 22 books that I wanted to make sure I got to this year. Some of them are backlist, some of them are new releases that haven't come out yet. So I've done pretty well so far. I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. And I've really liked the books that I've read off this list so far. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 5-star reads, 2 4-star reads, and 1 3-star read. I definitely need to prioritize reading the rest on this list though. Then we have my book bracket spread, which I'm leaving blank till the end of the year. I'm planning on doing it the same way I did last year, where at the very end of the year, I'm going to enter my favorite book from every month along the top and then do the head-to-head battles to find my favorite book of the year. That was a really fun video to do last year. If you missed it, you can check it out. I'll link it for you. But I'm really excited to do that again because it was a little painful, but it also helped me pick a favorite, which is very difficult for me to do. I'm so indecisive. Then I have my series tracker, which I've been trying to keep up with here. And then some of my 2022 reading goals here. More than halfway done my goal for reading translated works, halfway to my goal of reading works by Canadian authors and non-Western classics. But Western classics and doorstoppers, I'm trailing a bit behind my goal. And then reading books en français, I am really failing this year. For whatever reason, I'm just finding it a lot harder to focus when reading in French. So I started a couple French books and I've kind of drifted away from them and not finished. So I really need to focus more in the second half of the year to read the French books I have on my shelf so I can fill up these circles. Next is my book bingo, and I actually just hit bingo. I have a crossways bingo here, but I would love to be a completionist and actually fill in every single square. So there's a couple more here that I need to do. Then my reading around the world spread, which I haven't started filling in, even though I've read from quite a few countries already this year, mostly because I cannot decide how I want to fill this in. So please let me know in a comment what you would suggest. My first thought was to fill in the countries with my light beige Tombow, the one that I use here, but I've been feeling hesitant. Part of me thinks it might look nicer to fill in countries with maybe some parallel lines or some dots or something. Let me know what you think in the comments because I'm scared to start and to not like the way I'm doing it, so I just keep putting it off. As far as my reading through history spread, I've decided to leave this till the end of the year because depending on how many books I read throughout the centuries, I think that's going to change how I fill out the spread and how I have to space things. And I'd rather wait till the end of the year, know what I'm working with, and be able to make them fit nicely than starting to add them as I go and end up with spaces that I can't fit any more books in and other spaces that are awkwardly filled in. You know what I mean? Then we come to a couple open spreads. So one of these is going to be dedicated to our book club picks of the year, but then I do have a couple extra spreads here just in case there are more things I end up wanting to track. And now we're getting into the monthly spreads. So starting with January here. This year I decided to structure it with a cover page and then a page with every book I read that month with their rating, just so I could have an overview or a summary, and also my monthly stats. So this is sort of my overview spread for the month where I can see what I read, how I felt about it, and how I was doing with my goals. And then we get into individual book entries. So I always start with whatever book we read that month for the book club. So in January, that was The Gilded Wolves. And then I go through the other books I read. And I'm generally trying to keep to smaller entries for books I didn't like as much and bigger entries for books that I liked more. But that's not always the case depending on how much space I have to work with. And I usually try to include the book cover, my rating, a couple quotes, as well as my thoughts, and then occasionally, if I have the space, some images that either come from the book or remind me of the book in some way. I'm also trying to indicate when the books I'm reading are part of a reading challenge of some kind. So here I have the books I read for my video on the Goodreads Choice Awards winners of 2021. And then we get into February. Starting with my overview page here, my February reads and my February stats. Our book club pick for the month, which was A Marvelous Light. And I had a focus in February on reading books by Black authors. So I made a little section for books for Black History Month, which is in February here in Canada. Then we get to March here. March reads and March stats. Then we get into the spreads. So our book club pick for the month, which was Pura Cow, and then the books I read for my book talk challenge here. Getting into April here, tried to go with a bit of a moodier, rainy vibe for my cover page. My April reads, I definitely read a little less in April. My April stats. Our book club pick for April, which was Gray Bees. Getting into May. Our book club pick for May, which was On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. And then I also did my Reading Around the World challenge, or reading a book from every continent challenge in May. So I have each of the books I read for that video here. I have a little bit of empty space on this spread here for Love After the End. I wanted to include a couple quotes. My sister actually just visited me, and when she was here, I lent her my copy because I thought she would love reading it. So whenever she finishes and returns it to me, I will add the quotes in here. Getting into June here, the final set of spreads that I'll be sharing in this video. My June reads, another slower month, and June stats. Our book club pick for June, which was If Not Winter, Fragments of Sappho, translated by Anne Carson. And then the other 4 books I read in June, I decided to pop them all on one page to save space. And then we get into July. I'll just give you a little sneak peek of the cover, but I won't show you any spreads after that since that's into the second half of the year, so you'll see that later. But those are all the spreads for the first half of the year so far. And like I said, I'm definitely noticing that I'm using quite a few more pages now that I'm making an entry for every single book I read, instead of just the books that really resonate with me or that I give 5 stars. But I am really liking the fact that I can go through and see every single book that I finished, rather than just my absolute favorites. So it is a little bit more work, it's a little harder to stay on top of everything, but I do feel like it's worth it. For those who ask every time I share my reading journal, the book covers I just get from Goodreads. I just save the images from the Goodreads website, and then I pop them in Photoshop, or you could use Canva and resize them to the size I want, and then print them out. And I print out 2 copies of each so that I can include the cover both on the monthly reads page and on the individual book entries. And all the other images I use as well, they're also found online. For individual books, I'll try to search if there's fan art for a specific book, or I'll just search the title in images and see if anything comes up. And if nothing comes up, then I might have to do a little more creative Googling to find images that sort of resonate with me or I feel represent whatever book I am making an entry about. And of course, I'm using some of my own tea stained paper. I'll link the video where I show how I do that in the description box in case you want to tea stain some of your own paper. Some used wrapping paper that I've saved from packages, washi tape. Occasionally I'll use a sticker. So those are all my spreads. I hope you enjoyed seeing how things are going in my reading journal so far. Definitely making progress. And let me know your thoughts on how I should fill out my reading around the world spread, because I really am so on the fence. So that's it for my reading journal so far, the first 6 months of the year. I hope you enjoyed seeing inside, seeing all the spreads I've made so far. Before I go, I want to talk to you about today's video sponsor, ExpressVPN. One of my favorite things to do while updating my reading journal is to put on a movie I've seen a million times before to have in the background. But Netflix really tries my patience by putting up some of my favorite movies and then taking them down with no notice. I log on to put on a specific movie I have in mind, and it's just not there, only to find out that said movie would be available if I was in the UK or the US, for example. This is where today's video sponsor, ExpressVPN, comes to the rescue. ExpressVPN software hides your IP address, which websites can use to personally identify you. That makes your activity more difficult to trace and allows you to get access to shows not usually available in your country. ExpressVPN is so easy to use. Launch the app and connect with just one click. As I was preparing for this video, I had such a strong craving to watch the Phantom of the Opera movie, the 2004 version. My inner musical theater nerd was really jumping out, and it's not on Netflix Canada. So I quickly opened ExpressVPN, selected the UK, connected, refreshed Netflix, and there you go, all my Phantom of the Opera dreams have come true. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your internet data to keep you safe from hackers and any prying eyes whenever you're on an unencrypted connection. They also have 24/7 customer support with live chat, which means that your questions will be answered super quickly, no waiting for hours. Many VPNs slow down your internet, but not ExpressVPN. They only invest in premium servers, making them consistently faster than any other VPN provider. So if you want to unlock more shows on Netflix and don't like the idea of tech companies exploiting your personal information, because who likes that? Find out how you can get 3 months of ExpressVPN for free by visiting expressvpn.com/plantbasedbride or by clicking the link in the description box below. Thank you again to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to go to expressvpn.com/plantbasedbride or click the link in the description box below so you can find out how to get 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. And with that, I'm going to get going. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you, as always, to my patrons for your support, and I'll see you really soon in my next one. Bye, friends.